Okay, so we're going to set up a calculation scheme. We're going to change t in increments of 0.1. Okay? So we're going to have a table for the t coordinate. It's going to start at 0. It's going to go by 0.1. Okay? And then we're going to have our approximate value, well, okay? We're going to have y prime and we're going to have y. Okay? So, when t is 0, y is 1. That's our initial condition. Okay? So here's our initial condition. I'll just kind of put a circle around this and indicate that the initial condition is y of 0 equals 1. Okay? And now we can calculate y prime. And we know from what we've already seen that that's 0. Okay? Now, I'm going to do the details of this calculation down here, but then the details all follow mechanically. Okay? Just mechanical procedure. So I can say that assume starting at the point 0, 1, that y prime doesn't change while t changes by 0.1. Okay? At what point do we arrive? Well, let's draw a picture to make it clear just what in the world I'm talking about here. Okay? Make this blue. So here we have the point 0, 1. Okay? Slope is 0. I'll indicate that by a straight line segment. And t changes by 0.1. Well, how far do you want 0.1 to be? Well, let's assume we've got a magnifying glass in this thing. So here is change in t from here to here is 0.1, right? So we follow the slope line while t changes by 0.1. Okay? So what are the coordinates of the point that we end up at? Again?
0.11.
Yeah. Okay, we're at 0, 1, slope is 0, so the y coordinate is not going to change. T changes by 0.1, it was 0, so now .11. Okay. So we moved over 1 unit along this segment. Let T change by 1 unit along a segment where the slope is 0. So clearly, we arrive at 0.11. Okay? So, now y is 1, and t is 0.1, right? So now what's the value of y prime? And y prime is now going to be 0.1 because t is 0.1 and y is 1, right? So, in big red letters, I should have the red, reddish marker here. Here, y prime is 0.1. Okay, so okay. Now the question is, what happens if we move another tenth, if we let t increase by another 1/10, right? So you want to speculate maybe on what happens? Well, I'll come back to my blue color corresponding to this. Now we're at the point 1, 1. And let's indicate that point here. Okay? Now we're going to let t change while keeping y prime the same. Okay? Using this slope. Okay? So, by how much does the y value change?
0.1.
Again?
0.1.
No, good guess, but what's the reasoning? Well, to flesh out this picture, you now have a slope of .1, right? So you're going to let t change by 0.1. Delta t is 0.1. And now you're going to have a delta y up here, right? Y is going to change. So by how much does y change? What's the definition of slope?
Right in a run.
That's the immediate words that I would hope come to your mind. There are other equally good words that are more complicated and less intuitive. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We don't have any subscripts. We can't do that. Okay? It's just very fundamental. Delta y over delta t has to equal 0.1. Right? So, and this is something you really got to get straight on. You should have been straight on this in your pre-calculus course. And if you had been, then a lot of the calculus that's involved with stuff that you don't remember about calculus would have been clearer. Okay? But in a pre-calculus course, you're struggling against the fact that algebra courses are not taught at the level people need to be engineers. So it's remediation all the way along. So you got to remember that, and you got to make time to do it. Okay? You got to make time to bring all the stuff together that should have been brought together but wasn't because you're in a class with a bunch of slackers. But they got to get good grades because the school system needs to give them good grades and needs to concentrate on the very basic SOL rather than teaching anybody anything more advanced. Yeah, something like that. Okay? So, it's okay. You can survive, but you got to remediate these things. So, yeah, you really got to understand this triangle here. Okay? It's totally fundamental to first year calculus. And if you didn't really get used to that triangle in first year calculus, well, there are a lot of reasons for that. Going back to all the children have to be above average, or something like that. Okay, so slope is delta y over delta t. Well, we can write this as an equation, although it should become second nature, like by Thursday. Okay? Slope is delta y over delta t. We know the slope. Right? So delta y is 0.01. Doesn't go up much. Okay? So from this, you arrive at 0.201. You start at 0.111, the slope 0.1. You arrive at 0.2, 1.01. So this point is the delta y now we see is 0.01. So this point is 0.11 plus 0.01 equals 0.1, 1.01, and as usual, I didn't leave myself enough room because I never know what I'm going to write until I see what you understand. But I could do better, so I can try. Okay? That make sense? Well, now, see if you can do the next step. Okay, now we know that y is 1.01. So we have to fill in y prime and then iterate the process. Iterate means just keep doing the same thing over and over again with the new information. Okay?